When does a speech really begin? You might say, well, it begins when I walk on stage. No. Your speech really begins when your audience realizes you're going to give a speech, or when your audience first sees you, first has an experience with you. Let me give you an example. Many years ago, I lived in San Diego, California, and I had a speech to deliver in another state. It was in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So I went to the airport in San Diego, and while I was standing in the queue waiting to get my ticket, there was another queue right next to mine, and there were some people who were behaving very badly. And they were being rude to other people, and the gate agent who was issuing the tickets was working very slowly, and people were complaining. And I decided to not say a word. So I just waited my turn, followed the queue, got to the front of the room and got my ticket. And I saw these other people misbehaving, and I thought, on a bad day, I might have been like them. I might have been rude, I might have been angry, but I'm glad I didn't. And I saw a man in the line next to me, and we made eye contact and greeted each other. And then I got on the plane, and I noticed that same man was seated about 2 rows behind me. And we flew to Phoenix, Arizona, and I went to get on my connecting flight, and so did he. So we both got on that flight. And when we got off the plane in Albuquerque, New Mexico, to get a shuttle bus to take us to Santa Fe, New Mexico, he was standing right beside me. And I said, "Hi, I'm Jim Cathcart." He said, "I'm Jack Sema." And I said, "Are you going to Pecos River Conference Center for this conference?" He said, "Yes, I am." And I said, "Well, what business are you in?" He said, "I'm in the life insurance business." I said, "With what company?" He said, "Massachusetts Mutual." I said, "I worked for Massachusetts Mutual for 6 years in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I designed some of the training programs that your entire company uses." Wow. So we became good business friends. When we got to Santa Fe, New Mexico, they assigned us the same sleeping room. He had that bed and I had this bed. We were roommates. Now, imagine for a moment, you're back in San Diego, you're standing in line, people are misbehaving, the flight attendant is being very slow about, the gate agent is being very slow about checking people in. And instead of behaving like I did that day, I'm having a bad day instead, and so I start saying, "Can you believe this? Man, hey, hurry it up. Let's get going up there." If I had behaved like that, I would have ended up losing face with this gentleman. He would have seen my bad behavior. And when we got to Santa Fe, New Mexico, not only rooming together in the same hotel room, but also I was speaking at that conference and he was in my audience. Plus, he worked for a company that had 125 agencies. He ran one of those agencies, and 30 of those agencies had hired me to speak. So he was a potential client for me. When does a speech really begin? When you get on stage? When you get to the airport? Maybe. I don't know. When you find yourself standing waiting for a bus together? When does the speech really begin? See, I think you're always on stage. I think if you're presenting yourself as a leader and a speaker, you have a responsibility to behave in ways that are consistent with your message. If you're talking about leadership, about sales, about personal development, about success, whatever it is you're talking about, you should be living the message that you are recommending to them. So it's got to show in your own behavior as well. I've had many occasions like that. One time I was in a McDonald's restaurant. I was standing in a queue at McDonald's restaurant, and the guy behind me in line kept bumping me. And at first I didn't say anything, but after about 3 times, I decided to turn around and ask him to stop, firmly. So I turned around and I was about to say, "Hey, will you stop bumping me?" And when I turned around, the man in line behind him said, "You're Jim Cathcart." And I said, Yes, I am. And he said, I was in your audience 3 months ago in another city, and I really enjoyed your message. And I said, well, thank you very much. And I was so thankful that I hadn't misbehaved. So I shook his hand and we talked for a minute, and I let the man who was bumping me go forward in line ahead of me so that I could talk with my new friend. Even after a speech, long after a speech, your audience members will remember you in many cases. And if they see your behavior different from what your message was, then your speech, the value of your speech is diminished. So when does a speech begin? When you think it up and tell other people you're going to deliver it. First time somebody else knows that you're going to deliver that speech, the speech has begun.